I'm CK. Today we've got one from Thing Modular. It's their London Drive distortion unit. They describe it as a good little simple distortion unit and an easy soldering kit, so it might be a great first kit for someone who hasn't done one yet. So we'll put it together, see how it sounds, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Here are the bits and pieces. Pick this up from thonk.co.uk. Here are the components, electronic components. Here I think is the front panel because it says panel. And here's the printed circuit board. Let's look at the front panel first to see how straightforward this one is. They describe it as being pretty straightforward. So we'll see. Should be. If I can get the bag open. What the? There we go. Okay, we've got a drive from 0 to 10, an in, an out, an out. This is obviously, as you can see, because it's upside down, an inverted out. So that's fun. Let's see what the PCB looks like. I don't think, oh it does. I wasn't sure it had surface mount, but it does. It has resistors, capacitors. Don't know what that is. It's a 6-pin chip that no way in heck am I going to be able to figure out how to read that. More resistors, transistor, a couple of diodes, capacitors, resistors and caps. Looks like 2, 3, 4 more transistors. Another transistor here, and another couple of things. So a lot of stuff already pre-installed, but as you can see, we've got potentiometer here for the drive, power connector, and then jack, 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 jack. Let's see what all that looks like. It's all in plastic, which is nice because I can recycle, paper, which is nice, I can recycle that. And we've got our typical win 20 pounds off your next order. If you want feedback, you might win 20 pounds off. Here's the drive knob. It's a pretty straightforward, simple knob. No flat spot, no set screw. So we'll just be pushing it on. Here we've got Thing Modular sticker. I think I got one of those. I mean, I sure should. Oh, I don't see one. I'll put it up on my sticker wall. Huh. Interesting. Got some stuff I didn't expect in here. One thing I didn't expect a connector. I didn't expect a fuse. 12 volt AC DC fuse. Let's take a look at it. Oh, is that a light or a fuse? Is there a light? Oh, I see. It's a light. So it'll be on there to show you when it's driving. Thought it might have been a fuse, but it's not. Let me get these panel nuts off while I'm sorting through stuff. The potentiometer does not have an obvious, panel nuts inside this little bag. So inside this little bag, there's a power cord, of course. Come on, come out of the bag. I bet there's got to be a connector for the other end of this maybe it's not. Maybe it goes into a spot on the circuit board. So we've got, there's the panel nut for the potentiometer, and then we're gonna, this is gonna solder onto that, but where is it gonna connect? Red or black, black or red, because it's just a light bulb, so it doesn't matter, it's not polarity sensitive. So I think I'm gonna have to cut this off, because there's no connector for it, so they just had this lying around the shop, I guess, and said, just give them that, they'll put it on using that. So we'll clip it and solder there, solder there. London Drive Proto 1, designed by Tom Whitwell in Herne Hill, London, April 2022. So this has been around a little while. And the PCB says, cut trace and resolder to change the voltage. The default is 12 volts, and you can use it with 9 volts. If you cut there's a little trace there that you can cut with an X-Acto knife and then resolder to go to 9 volts. So that's interesting. Of course, we'll just be using 12 volts because we're putting it in a standard eurorack power supply. So this is not going to take very long to put together. So let me get the soldering iron heated up and we'll do just that. So as we saw, this will be a pretty rapid fire assembly. The first thing I'm going to do is put the power connector on. It's non-shielded, so you don't have to worry about orientation for it. Golly, if I could get my fingers to work. So I'm going to solder one pin. Now pick it up, make sure it's all flat, reheat that solder joint, making sure, by the way, that I'm not touching any of these pre-installed surface mount parts with my soldering iron tip, because you can easily knock them loose and you may not even notice it. And there's that. By the way, I'm sure they have a build guide for this, but quite frankly, I didn't see a reason for doing that. Oh, I see what that, okay, we'll get to this. I'm sorry, I said we were going to clip the end off that power connector. No, we're not. We're going to put this 2-pin pin header in, and we'll just slide that in and out. I've got to get a piece of foam to support that. So you don't have to be cutting it off, even though you could. And that's one thing I would have learned with the build guide, but I figured it out on my own. Ow! I'm straightening that out. Of course, when you reheat the pins and press on them, you kind of heat your finger up too. This is a double pot, 2 sets of 3 leads. So you got to make sure all 6 pins go through well. And I'm not going to solder that right yet because we want to put the board on. And I'll put the jacks on. Now I'm going to temporarily put the front panel on, and you'll see, by the way, actually I probably don't need to do it temporarily because you can see where the light is above the circuit board. So I will just set this down. I guess I'll clamp it. I'll clamp it just because I got the clamp handy. Now we will solder all these bits. Now I'll just leave that to the side just for a second so I can solder these leads on to the light. And as they say, don't worry about which end is which because it's a light bulb, and light bulbs are, in general, not polarized. I do want to put a little loop in the end of the wire. That's all on. Looks good. I'm going to take the nut and lock washer off. Oh, by the way, I'm going to put the panel nut on here so I can get rid of the clamp. And no, I didn't use the washer on it. I often don't. And we'll just put that through there. Again, orientation doesn't matter, it's just a pretty light. Don't tighten it too much because it's metal onto plastic and that'll be bad. And now I'll just plug this into it. Again, doesn't matter. I'm going to spin the jack panel nuts on. Now we'll get the knob, make sure this is fully counterclockwise, set the index pin about 0. I'm going to push it on. Now you notice I'm holding the front panel. I'm not holding the circuit board. I'm holding the front panel. Don't want to flex the circuit board too much. There we go. That's on. And we'll get our power cable. And we'll make sure the red stripe goes where on the board it says red, because that makes sure the 12-volt negative power supply is going to the right place. That'll go on there. I'm not actually going to put it all the way on because I'll do it differently in my rack because I go into my meter on the rack. So there's that. And again, very, very quick. Light, drive, ins, outs. There's the side. There's the back. The other side, top, and the bottom. Now we'll put it in the rack and get to distorting. And we're in the rack, and as you can see, it's kind of tilted in the rack, not quite even. That's for my old buddy Cliffy, because he hates it when I do that. So I do it on purpose. Let's power up, and we've got a little bit of light going on in the drive circuit. Looks like she's pulling, because I've got an input going in. Looks like she's pulling 32 milliamps. Which is not bad. I'm going to pull this out for a moment. Yeah, and that turns it off, because what we've got there is we've got, for my even VCO, we've got this going on. I'm going to slow that down a little bit. Maybe make it. Okay, now we'll put it back over here. And put that back in there. Yeah, see, when it's not getting a signal, it's only drawing 9 milliamps. When it's getting a signal, it goes up to almost 40. So let's crank it up a little bit. Now I'll drive it. You can hear it starting to fuzz up a little bit. Not a huge amount of distortion, but a little bit. I'm going to take it down to the inverted out. You can hear it a little bit more, can't you? I'm going to change to a different waveform, see if that makes a difference. I'm going to change to a square wave. Wow, and that's real low. Okay, you can hear that quite a bit. That's on the inverted. So you can hear that distorting. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So it's interesting that when I put a sine wave into it, it's drawing power the whole time. You can hear it rounding out a little bit there. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to take that out and I'm going to put my snare drum module into N2. Let me tune it to something interesting. Now let me drive that. Much more noticeable. Let me change tone on that. So you can hear how much grit it's adding in there. That's dry, 50%. Now I'm going to put both in. I'm going to go back to the square wave because that distorted the most for me. And I'm going to go into in 1 with that. Now we've got in 1 and in 2 firing off. Just speed it up a little bit. I can't change the volume on that one, and I can't. So you'd probably want to put these through a mixer to balance them. Now I'm going to invert. I'm going to go ahead and put some accent in too. And since I got a spare cable, I'm going to go ahead and do snappy also. I'm going to take this one back out for a little bit. So that's just the snare. And you can see when it's driving, of course. Like there, it's only driving when it hits the accent, which is interesting. Turn that up a little bit. Go back to normal out. So that's what it is, a nice little distortion unit with a light so you know when it's distorting. Obviously it uses very low power, which is nice, up to, 40 milliamps when it actually triggers is not bad at all. So that's it, a very, very quick build, a great first kit, and a nice little distortion module for your rack. And I hope you enjoyed the video.